today I'm going to talk about Car Wars from Steve Jackson Games. Came out in several different versions. This is the third revision, and it's from 1983. Comes in this hard plastic shell box. It's a 4x7. Like the cover art, it's detailed enough and gives you a sense of the theme. Not too elaborate, but looks fairly modern. Where the right of way goes to the biggest guns. Players choose their vehicles, complete with weapons, armor, power plant, suspension, and even body style. Then they take them on the road to come home aces or to crash and burn. Highly realistic grid system controls movement. If the player's character survives, his abilities improve, and he can accumulate money to buy bigger and better cars. Advanced rules let players design their own cars and trucks and cycles. Playing time 30 minutes and up. Any number can play. Game designed by Chad Irby and Steve Jackson. And also a bit of the theme is shown here, kind of showing the dystopian world. 15 years ago, the food riots, fortress towns develop. National government fails to keep order throughout much of the U.S. 13 years ago, gangs rule most of the U.S. outside fortress towns. 11 years ago, many large cities totally abandoned. National government regains authority, but enforcement decentralized. 9 years ago, Supreme Court decision decriminalizes manslaughter in arena games. Death sports become popular. 8 years ago, Crazy Joe Herdman wins Fresno Destruction Derby by mounting a surplus 50 caliber machine gun in a Chevy. 7 years ago, Armadillo Auto Duel Arena opens on former site of shopping mall in Austin, Texas. 6 years ago, auto dueling becomes the most popular TV sport, edging out combat football and private wars. 5 years ago, Utah auto duelists formed a vigilante group to counter Badlands cycle gangs. So it sounds like it kind of starts out as like a rollerball. The old movie, not as good remake. And then it kind of goes to more of a kind of Mad Max thing. Components. My copy didn't come with dice. It doesn't list dice as one of the things included, but I was going to use some small SBI dice I had laying around. And then there's the rule book. Again, it fits in the 4x7 container, and it's 24 pages. And that comes with sheets that you cut out, shown here. And they include a couple. There's 4 tracks, but here's a couple of them. The regular track, and then the other side is with debris, and that's also shown here. These are also tracks. This one has the vehicle planning sheet, an example kind of filled out, and you can make copies of these, if you own it. And then there's also a track, and in the back it's got the arena option here with some arena rules. Then we have the maneuver and control tables, the stock car shopping list, the movement chart, and the counters are pretty basic but functional. They're kind of a card stock. They're not as thick as normal counters, and they're anywhere from like 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch by 1 inch, and they're one-sided. 103 total counters. So the unique counters are 16 car and truck counters here, numbered. 6 cycle counters. You can see they're smaller. 22 record counters of cars and cycles for the movement chart. 4 smoke clouds. 4 paint clouds. 6 black oil slicks, 4 obstacle counters, 12 small debris counters, 6 small pedestrian counters, 6 tire spike counters, 4 drop mine counters, 2 wrecked cycles, 3 wrecked cars, 4 sets of speed and handling counters for the vehicle record sheets. Then we'll get into the rules. Looking at the rules here, reflexes each car in the game has one driver. Before the game begins, determine each driver's reflexes by rolling one die. All drivers are ranked from best to worst. Good reflexes improve vehicle handling and give you the edge in movement. If you are keeping drivers from game to game, a driver must roll again for each new game, since it's the last combat. The state of a person's reflexes varies constantly. However, an experienced driver has better reflexes. Each driver may add 10% of his appropriate skill score to his original reflex roll in each game. The driver's reflexes also improve the effective handling class of his vehicle. If a driver's first reflex roll adjusted for his driving skill is 6 better, his vehicle's handling class is increased by 2 for that combat. If the adjusted roll is 5, increase the effective handling by 1. If a driver is injured in combat, he loses all handling bonuses for reflexes for that game and any other games that day. Vehicle selection. The stock car shopping list gives specifications and prices for a number of standard vehicles. Several options available. You'll want to use stock cars the first few times you play. Sample specifications, explanation. Car size is given first, then chassis, suspension, power plant, and tires. Next is number of armor points on each of the vehicle's 6 sides. Front, right, left, back, top, and underbelly. Next. The specified number of people the car can hold, plus cargo space if any. Then weapons are listed with the position in which each is mounted. Then accessories are listed. Hidden class of X maneuverability. Weight is the vehicle's total weight with all seats filled and a full load of ammunition. Price is the vehicle's sticker cost and includes a full load of ammunition. Options are changes a player can make in a car without special reference to the vehicle design section. If the car is selected, make up a record sheet. Example shown here. Movement and scale. The road sections are marked with a squared grid to control movement. The heavy lines are 1 inch. The light lines are 1/4 inch, 3.75 feet apart. Each turn represents 1 second. Each turn is divided into 10 phases of 1/10 of a second each. The number of times a vehicle moves each turn will be governed by its speed, as shown by the X marks on the movement chart. A car moving 5 or 10 miles per hour moves once per turn. A car moving 15 or 20 moves twice per turn, etc. If a car is moving at an even speed, 10, 20, etc., then all its moves will be ordinary boxes during which it may maneuver. If a vehicle is moving at odd speed, 5, 10, etc., then one of its moves will be a half move. The vehicle must move straight ahead 1/2 inch and may not maneuver. The player may take any move as his half move, but if he has not made his half move by the last move of his turn, he must take it then. Vehicle speed determines how many times he'll move each turn and when it will move, as shown on the movement chart. There are 10 phases during each turn. During each phase, vehicle at certain speeds may move. At the beginning of each turn, after vehicles hit their speeds, the control marker for each vehicle is placed to its new speed on the master movement chart. A marker is then placed on top of the chart. At phase 1, it moves along. When the next appears in the row of the vehicle's speed, the vehicle moves in that phase. When vehicles move during the same phase, the faster one moves first. For vehicles driving the same speed, the one whose driver has faster reflexes may choose when he wants to move. A vehicle must move when the movement chart tells us to, and may never move at any other time. Acceleration and deceleration. At the beginning of each turn, the owner of each vehicle sets its speed for that turn. All players determine new speeds, move the speed counter on their vehicle record sheet. Vehicles may accelerate, decelerate, or keep the same speed. Acceleration, engine size, and car weight determine the car's acceleration, either 5, 10, or 15 miles per turn. Deceleration, any vehicle can decelerate up to 15 miles per hour each turn without danger. Greater deceleration is possible but risky. Decel 20 miles per hour. Difficulty 3, D3 maneuver. Deceleration of 25, D5 maneuver. Deceleration of 30, D7 maneuver. and each tire takes 1 dive damage. Deceleration of 35 to 45 in 1 turn, 2 dice damage to each tire, and go directly to cross table 1. Deceleration of more than 45 miles per hour in 1 turn is impossible. Vehicle's top speed is determined by the size of its power plant. This speed may never be exceeded. Straight line movement, since the roads are gridded. Whenever a vehicle changes direction, this is called maneuver. Each maneuver has difficulty class. The more difficult maneuver, the more likely the vehicle will skip, flip, etc. When maneuvers are made in rapid succession, the danger increases as shown in the handling track on the vehicle record sheet. At the beginning of each turn, each handling encounter starts with that vehicle's handling class. Each maneuver or hazard causes the marker to move down, and each time the marker moves, the player must roll the control table, see if he loses control. If he loses control, he will have to roll on one of the cross tables. The roll used on the control table depends on the vehicle's speed. The column depends on the current handling status. Handling status of 0 or better is always safe. Handling status cannot get worse than -6, but vehicle -6 must still roll on the control table for each maneuver. The handling track is reset at the end of each turn, that is, once per second. So here's the control table and maneuvers. For the maneuvers, bend. Vehicle goes from position A to position B in 1 phase. This is difficulty 3, D3 maneuver. The driver executes a second bend in his next phase. He goes to C, completing a right angle turn. Tight bend, the vehicle goes from D to E in 1 phase. This is D6. Drift, the vehicle moves 1 inch forward and 1/4 inch or less to either side, keeping the same orientation. This is D1 maneuver. Steep drift, vehicle moves 1 inch forward and up to 1/2 inch to one side. It's a D3. Swerve, vehicle moves 1 car length ahead and then is positioned so that when rear corner of the counter stays in the same square, and diagonally opposite corner moves to adjacent square. Subject to these restrictions, the counter may be placed as the player wishes. A D1 maneuver. Hard swerve, as above. Vehicle moves 1 inch ahead, some position so that one rear corner stays in the same square, and the opposite corner moves 2 squares. A D3 maneuver. Pivot. This maneuver is made only by a vehicle moving at 5 miles per hour. Pivot vehicle moves 1/4 inch in a straight line and keeps one rear corner fixed at the same point while pivoting about that corner on a direction. D0 maneuver. Because of the low speed, a 5 mile per hour vehicle may choose between this maneuver and the normal 1/2 inch half move. Straight line. Deceleration. Rapid deceleration constant maneuver. The handling track marker is moved up at the beginning of the turn, and the control table is made. Roll is made at the original speed before the vehicle may move or fire for that turn. Evening out, after coming out of a maneuver parallel to the grid lines, to get exactly on the squares, this does not affect spear handling as a D0. The bootlegger reverse. This special maneuver, a car uses controlled skid to reverse its direction. It works, but it's dangerous. To attempt a bootlegger reverse, vehicle must start at 20 to 35 miles per hour before the acceleration and deceleration phase. Cancel at 35 and try it all in 1 turn. On the phase that a vehicle starts bootlegger reverse, it skids from N to 0 on the diagram. This is a D7 maneuver and puts 1 die of damage in each tire. If the vehicle goes out of control at this point and or loses a tire, it will roll or skid in the direction shown by the heavy arrow. Its speed will be at 0 at the beginning of the next turn. If the vehicle does not go out of control, it will automatically go to P on the next movement phase and stop, facing the way it came. Once the vehicle begins a bootlegger reverse, it may fire no weapons until it stops moving. Weapons on automatic will still fire. Only 4 and 6-wheeled vehicles may try this maneuver. Any vehicle except a cycle may move in reverse up to 20 miles per hour. A vehicle may not go from forward to backward at speed without stopping for a turn. Acceleration rolls are the same as for forward movement. Any maneuver can be made in reverse. The difficulty class is 1 higher. Hazards are outside events that affect vehicles. They are treated like maneuvers. Each one has difficulty rating. Road conditions present no danger in themselves, but add to difficulty of any hazard or maneuver the vehicle undergoes. If a vehicle rolls on a control table and misses its roll, it has gone out of control. If it has lost control during maneuver, it must roll on crash table 1. If it has lost control because of hazard, it must roll on crash table 2. Results range from mild or disastrous. When a vehicle counter touches a fixed object or another counter, collision has occurred. Collision damage is based on difference in the speed between two objects. The last column movement chart gives damage done by collisions. Damage is always taken to the side of the vehicle that strikes first. Note that collision damage is not treated like damage caused by weapons. If a pedestrian is struck, the pedestrian takes full damage from the chart, but the vehicle takes only 1/5 damage. A cycle does full damage to the cycle or pedestrian, but only 1/3 damage to the car or truck. If the cars are going the same direction, subtract the lower speed from the higher speed. If they head head-on, have two speeds. If they strike at the right angles, use the speed of the car which moves last. If a car collides with a burning wreck and does not drive away the next turn, there's 1/6 chance it stays there and will catch fire unless it has an extinguisher. Any collision is a D4 hazard. Collisions may also have other effects which take place before the hazard is figured as follows. A sideswipe has no special effect needing speed or facing. A rear-end collision equalizes vehicle speeds at their average speed. T-bone head-on collisions also cause bounces and spins which are effectively random and are therefore simulated randomly. Pick up both counters and drop them on the board. The head-on collision leaves both vehicles at speed 0. A T-bone reduces the speed of each vehicle by 50 miles per hour immediately from the 4 above. Hitting a pedestrian is a D3 hazard. Debris and obstacles. Debris can be part of a scenario, or it can appear as a result of combat. A vehicle hits debris the first time any part of the vehicle counter touches a debris score. Debris can be hit only once per phase, regardless of how many debris squares are entered. If a vehicle starts a phase at the top of debris, that debris does not affect it. It has already been hit. Debris affects all vehicles' tires. Roll one die for each tire and subtract 3 from the result. To find the damage of the tire, this on 1 to 3, it's undamaged. When a car takes 10 or more hits during one phase, pick one debris counted randomly, place it next to the car at the hit point. Debris from top-bottom damage goes behind the vehicle. If the car explodes, choose 5 random debris counters and place them on the board and drop them on the board randomly. All the counters. Align counters with the road grid as close as possible to the point where they fall. Debris and other obstacles remain until the game ends. An obstacle counter represents pothole, loose wheel, or other larger road hazard. Striking an obstacle is a D3 hazard. Determine whether an obstacle is struck as described for debris. An obstacle does the same damage to each tire as debris does. A vehicle may hit more than one obstacle in phase. It must roll for each. If a car loses a wheel or takes 20 or more hits during one phase, an obstacle is placed as described above for debris. A vehicle's original handling class is determined by its suspension. Handling class may be affected as follows. Any pickup of over 5,500 pounds. Any van has its handling class reduced by 1. Any vehicle that loses a wheel has its handling class reduced by 3 permanently. Starting the next turn. If only the tires go, AC drops only by 2. In either case, the vehicle's handling status goes to -6 immediately. Any vehicle that loses a wheel in 2 corners goes to cross table 1. It may no longer steer, accelerate, or brake. It must decelerate by 30 miles per hour each turn. Any vehicle driven by a character with very good reflexes will have an improved handling class. The highest possible handling class after all adjustments is 5. The lowest possible is a -3. Combat may occur during any phase, before or after movement. To attack, a player simply announces that he is firing and aims the weapon being fired at its target. If a vehicle is being moved at the moment, he announces attack. The vehicle completes its movement for that phase, then the attack is resolved. Results of an attack are applied immediately before any other vehicle can return fire or move. A given weapon may never fire more than once per turn. A given character may never fire more than once per turn, unless he does so by triggering linked weapons. Rate of fire. Usually the above restrictions mean that each vehicle will only fire once per turn. Exceptions occur when the weapon is on automatic, car has a human gunner as well as driver, so that the driver may fire one weapon and the gunner may fire another one, or weapons are linked. The procedure for resolving a normal weapon attack is to make sure that there is a line of fire from the weapon to the target. Roll 2 dice to see if the weapon hits. If the weapon hits, determine damage location and amount. Move the target vehicle's handling status down and are placed to break obstacle corners if required. The weapon data sheet shows how much damage each weapon does and what roll is needed to hit with it. To fire a given target, there must be a line of fire from the firing weapon center or middle of the side where the weapon is to some part of the counter representing the target. Buildings, vehicles, pedestrians, etc. block line of fire. Smoke and paint reduce chances of hitting, but do not block line of fire except for lasers. Pedestrians, in turn, weapons have a 360-degree arc of fire. Hand weapons from a car, truck, or sidecar have a right or left arc of fire, depending on what side they're fired from. Hand weapons fired from a cycle driver have a 360-degree arc of fire. A car has a front, back, right, left, top, and underbelly sides. When you fire at a vehicle, you may only hit a side that's facing you. Usually, you will be able to choose between two sides. You must choose one target. If you score a hit, any damage you do will be taken by that part of the vehicle. You may never target a vehicle's underbody with normal weapons. However, the underbody is automatically the target of a mine. A vehicle's tires may be targeted. Each tire is a separate target. Only visible tires may be targeted. A tire is a difficult target. Subtract 3 from the 2-hit roll when shooting tires. Vehicle's turret may be targeted. All top armor protects weapons on the turret. Otherwise, the top can only be hit if something is dropped from building or if the vehicle rolls. A cycle is a small target, but every part is exposed. Therefore, after firing on and hitting a cycle, roll on the table below to determine where you hit. Except as provided below, only one component of a cycle can be hit in each attack. Twisted damage passes through the cycle, has no effect. Attacking from front to rear, roll 2 dice on 2 to 10. You hit armor. If armor's all gone, roll again on the side table below for remaining damage. On a 11 or 12, you hit the exposed wheel. Attacking from the side, 2 to 5, you hit the driver. 6, 7, the motor. 8 to 10, a weapon. Roll randomly if there are more than one. Roll again if there are none. 11 to 12, a tire. Roll randomly to see which one. If the cycle being attacked has a sidecar, roll 1 die to see whether the sidecar was hit. On a 1 to 4, the cycle was hit. Use the above table. On a 5 to 6, the sidecar was hit. It has 1 wheel, 1 or 2 weapons, and possibly a rider. Once armor and part of the sidecar is lost, any fire hitting the exposed area has an equal chance of hitting each of the interior components. When a normal weapon is fired, the attacking player rolls 2 dice to see whether he hit his target. He must make the 2-hit roll or better for that weapon. See the weapon chart. Thus, to hit a machine gun, the player would need to roll a 7 or better on 2 dice. Accuracy is affected by certain factors, as listed on the weapon chart. These add to or subtract from the necessary roll. Regardless of bonuses, a roll of 2 always misses. Example, a computer gives a +1 bonus, so a player with a computer needs only a 6 to hit with a machine gun. Amount of damage. When a weapon hits, calculate the amount of damage by rolling 2 dice as shown on the weapon chart. If a rocket launcher, 2-die weapon, hits, roll 2 dice. The result is the number of hits taken by the target. Each vehicle component can take a certain amount of damage, shown as DP, on the vehicle design and weapons charts. Armor is lost a point at a time. Other components work at full efficiency until they take their full amount of DP when they're gone, but the hits are recorded in the boxes on the vehicle record. When that gun takes a 3rd hit and is destroyed, the location of weapon damage is located by the part of the vehicle that is hit. Damage is taken by the components in that part of the target. Armor's first, armor's destroyed first. Components in each area of car, truck. In the order they are hit by an attack from the side are, front armor, front firing weapons, front motor, driver gunner, cargo, back motor, back firing weapons, back armor, back is above, but in reverse order. Right armor, right firing weapons, gunner, driver cargo motor, left firing weapons, left armor, left is above, but in reverse order. Underbody armor, motor, driver, gunner, and cargo, turret weapons, top armor, tires, may also take damage, top is above, but in reverse order. Turret, top armor, turret weapons, turret is target. Leftover damage will pass above the car rather than hitting the body. Tires, target tire and wheel only, leftover hits have no effect. compound is not present, just skip it. Many will have no gunner, turret, and or cargo. Passengers count as cargo. Note that some weapons cannot be hit by certain attacks. There is no way, for example, to damage a front-firing weapon by attack from the right, even though you can shoot through the car from behind. Where 2 or 3 components listed in the parentheses, only one will be hit by each attack. Roll randomly for each separate attack to see which one's hit. Similarly, if a vehicle takes front weapon damage and has 2 or more front weapons, roll randomly for each attack to see which of the weapons is hit. If there are 2 more front weapons, each attack will hit only one. Leftover damage from that attack goes inward, not sideways, to other front weapons. Damage from a collision is handled differently. It is divided evenly among all exposed components on the affected side. Example, if a car took 3 points collision damage, it would be divided evenly among the exposed systems, weapons, -2 hits on one side and on the other. This collision damage cannot penetrate to the interior of the vehicle unless all armor on that side and all components outside the one to be affected have been completely destroyed by collision or weapon damage. Human's body armor has 3 damage points. A human also has 3 damage points. He is wounded by the first hit, knocked unconscious by the second, killed by the third. Hits taken by body armor are no hazard, but a wound to the driver is a D2 hazard. If a 2-wheeler's driver is killed or knocked unconscious, the cycle goes across table 1, hang for this roll. Any passengers must jump or suffer the roll. Any other vehicle will continue in a straight line if the driver is incapacitated. It decelerates 5 miles per hour per turn, resulting in a straight line until it stops or hits something. If a cyclist driver is incapacitated, a sidecar passenger can steer the cycle but cannot use the brake or accelerator. He can fire any weapon, but not on any turn that he steers the vehicle. If a larger vehicle's driver is incapacitated, a front seat gunner or passenger may attempt to take control. He may operate all vehicle controls except the weapons. Each maneuver he makes has an extra D2 for difficulty. If a driverless vehicle can be stopped, he will take 5 turns, 5 seconds, to push the late driver out or off, and move any other occupant of the vehicle in as new driver. At 6 turns, the new driver may start to accelerate and or fire. A vehicle which crashes may catch fire. A vehicle hit in combat may also catch fire as follows: 50% chance of catching fire on any turn that 10 or more hits are taken from flamethrowers and or lasers, 50% on any turn that the vehicle's power plant or flamethrowers are hit by any enemy weapons, or 100% of catching fire if the power plant or FTs are hit by laser or flamethrower fire. If a vehicle has a fire extinguisher, there's a 50% chance the fire will go out at the end of the turn. If the extinguishers do not put the fire out at the end of the turn, it does 1 hit of damage to each occupant or his armor, each vehicle component, and the armor on each part of the car. A burning vehicle may explode if it contains a flamethrower, heavy rocket, or RL or AT ammo. Roll 1 die at the end of each turn. If the fire is not extinguished, then a roll of 1 explodes, scattering debris. All occupants are killed immediately. Pedestrians or vehicles within 2 inches take 1 die of damage to exposed side. If a weapon is on automatic, it will fire its turn until it runs out of ammo or is taken off automatic. Putting a weapon on automatic is a fire action, as is taking it off automatic. Letting it fire during the intervening turns is not a fire action. If you have a weapon on automatic, you may fire another weapon that turn. A weapon that on automatic is not being aimed by the driver, therefore fires straight ahead or behind or the side. It may not target the turret or tires of another vehicle or be aimed in any way. A weapon on automatic does not get a computer aiming bonus. Putting a weapon on automatic breaks sustained fire. When a vehicle is laying down automatic fire, calculate the attack from the weapon at the end of the movement for that turn. The driver may lay down sustained fire from a weapon, firing it manually for several turns in a row. This gives a tracer effect, which improves the aim as follows. The second turn in a row uses a weapon against the same vehicle. Add 1 to its 2-hit roll. On third, in the turns at 2. If the sustained fire is broken for any reason, the attacker must start over to regain the bonus. Weapons on automatic and drop type weapons do not get this bonus. Mine droppers, oil jets, and tire spikers are dropped weapons. The mine dropper lays a small pattern of contact explosives. The tire spiker drops a dozen caltrops. The oil jet shoots an oil slick onto the road. When mines, oil, or spikes are dropped, the appropriate counter is placed directly behind the dropping vehicle, lining up with the road grid. Mines last until exploded, spikes and oil last indefinitely. The counters for mines and spikes show approximately where they are. If a vehicle crosses a tire spike counter, roll once for each tire on that vehicle. A roll of 1 to 4, either tire takes 1 die damage. If a vehicle crosses any square adjacent to the counter diagram, roll once for each of its tires. On a 1 or 2, that tire takes 1 die damage. Each vehicle checks only once for each counter. On the phase it first runs over the counter. On the first phase it enters an adjacent square. Mines go off on a roll of 1 to 4. Each tire within 1 inch of the counter then takes 1 die damage, while the underbody of any vehicle affected takes 2 dice damage. If a vehicle counter crosses any part of the adjacent area, the mine explodes on 1 or 2, doing the same damage. Solid tires are immune to spike damage, but not to mines. Paint and smoke may be produced by rear or side-mounted weapons. Smoke rings and paint clouds remain stationary. Life of smoke clouds 1 minute, or longer than most games last. Life of paint spray is 1 second. Any vehicle trying to trace a line of fire through the paint and smoke must subtract 2 from its 2-hit roll for each cloud in the way. Lasers cannot fire through smoke or paint. Any vehicle which comes into contact with a paint spray cloud gets paint on the windows. That vehicle will be at -2 hit for the rest of the turn, and next 3 turns. After that, the windshield washers will have it cleared off. Any character may use a hand weapon, or on any turn he does not fire a vehicle weapon, for game purposes that they take up no weight or space. No character may carry more than 6 grenades at one time. A pistol counts as 1 grenade. A rifle, shotgun, or SMG counts as 2. Its cargo box of 12 grenades weighs 50 pounds and takes up 1 space. Hand weapons do not get bonuses for computer aiming, but get all other roll-to-hit modifications listed for vehicle weapons. Submachine guns and grenades do their full 1 die of damage. Land tires and humans on other targets, they do half damage. Other hand weapons affect only tires and people. Range: a grenade may be thrown up to 5 inches. Other hand weapons have a maximum range of 20 inches for game purposes. Targeting the driver of a moving vehicle must subtract 3 from his 2-hit roll. With any hand weapons, counters or passengers subtract 1. Pedestrians are stationary characters fire at the listed values. In certain scenarios, pedestrians may fire from stable positions, which give them a +1 bonus to hit. Thrown grenades: if a grenade is thrown, the thrower must make his hit to roll. If he hits, the grenade will go off from 1 to 5. Turns later: the delay is set by the thrower. It goes off the end of the designated turn after all vehicle movement. If any corner, heavy car counter, is within 2 inches of the target point, the appropriate tire takes 1 die of damage. Pedestrians within 2 inches also take 1 die of damage. Anything else exposed within 2 inches takes half damage. Run it down. Drop grenades: a character may also drop a grenade into any square adjacent to himself or his vehicle. No 2-hit roll is necessary. The grenade goes off after the set time. A pedestrian is shown by a counter, 1/2 inch by 1/4 inch for ease of handling. Pedestrian actually occupies only the front half of the counter, and any line of fire must be traced to that half. Pedestrian counters should always be lined up with a map grid. Each pedestrian counter may move 1 square, straight or diagonally, per phase before vehicles move. Pedestrians never have to move. Pedestrians may use hand weapons only. Pedestrian may fire only once per turn. Once he fires, he may not move for the rest of the turn. If the vehicle collides with the pedestrian takes full damage. The vehicle only takes 1/5 damage on the chart. Entering and leaving vehicles: pedestrian may enter an unoccupied vehicle to drive it. A driver may leave a vehicle to fight on foot. Pedestrian must stand beside a cycle for 1 full turn, 1 second to get on. Next turn, he is astride it. He must remain motionless for 3 seconds, this being about the minimum time to get a cycle running. He can then begin to move more normally. A driver leaving a cycle must stand beside it for a full turn after stopping. and then may run normally. A driver or passenger may jump from a moving cycle, roll for damage as though he had been hit by a vehicle moving 10 miles per hour slower than the cycle is going. He lands in an adjacent square and may move and or fire beginning the next turn. It would take at least 1 minute, 60 turns to pick up and return a fallen cycle of any size. To pick up and restart a fallen cycle of any size, most combats won't last that long. To enter a larger vehicle, a pedestrian must stand beside it for 1 turn, opening the door. The next turn he may enter. If the vehicle is not running, it will take 3 seconds to start it. Thus it may begin to move in the 4th turn, but it may fire immediately. Anyone in a large vehicle may leave it while it's standing still, or jump while it's moving, as described for cycles. Scenarios, some sample scenarios. Road duel, 2-player road combat, 1 car each player. Each player gets fixed budget, 10,000 and 15,000, both good. Pick 1 car from the stock car list. Or for advanced, customize a car. Players roll, see which car goes in front. Roll again to determine starting distance to 12 inches. Both cars start out going the same direction at 60 miles per hour. Winner is the survivor. Variant, each time a new road section is placed, roll 1 die. On a roll of 6 is ordered. Roll section is used, and the player must avoid debris. Pack attack, 2-player road combat. 1 player gets 25,000 to pick or customize a single vehicle. The other player gets 30,000. They must pick or customize at least 5 cycles. If 1 vehicle starts out with a 12-inch lead, and all vehicles doing 80 miles per hour, the cycles win if they destroy the lone vehicle, and win decisively if they kill a driver but leave his vehicle drivable. The lone vehicle wins if A, the cycles are destroyed, B, can increase his lead to 30 inches, and no cycle has acceleration greater than his, or C, he manages to travel 5 scale miles, town to safety. Variant, 2 cycle players get 15,000 each, for 3 or more cycles each. Only 1 cycle player can win. To do so, he must cooperate with the team, the other team cycle player, and then the car is destroyed or crippled. Team play, 2-player arena scenario. Each player takes 3 or 4 vehicles of any type. Bill with identical budgets. Force enter from opposite sides of the arena, after which the arena gets closed. Winner is a player whose team wipes out the opposition. Variant, 3 teams with 3 or 4 vehicles each. Amateur night, multiplayer arena scenario. Each player gets 1 identical stock car from the shockingly list. All vehicles enter the arena simultaneously by different gates, 20 miles per hour. Vehicles may leave at any time after 30 seconds have passed, but may not re-enter. Winner is the survivor with the highest prestige. Then continuing characters. Skills improved by any actual combat experience. Each character starts with a skill of 0 in each of the 3 subcategories, driver, gunner, and cyclist. The driver of the vehicle scores 1 driver skill point for each combat he's in. Normally, 1 cyclist skill point for each combat which he drives. A kill is scored when an enemy can no longer move or fire, either because of his direct attack or because of crash during combat. The occupants do not have to die. Killing a pedestrian is not a kill. Each kill is worth 1 extra gunner point to the character who fired the killing shot, if any, and 1 driver or cyclist point to the driver of the vehicle that caused the kill. If a pedestrian scores a kill, it counts towards prestige but not skill. Advantages of skill. When determining reflexes before each game, a character adds his driver or cyclist skill level to his first reflex die roll. Anyone firing a vehicle weapon adds his gunner skill level to die roll each time he fires. Increasing skill level. When a character collects 10 points of skill level in that skill is up by 1. Once achieved, his skill never decreases. Prestige. This is a character's status among other auto-duelists. Prestige increases character's possible arena winnings and decreases expenditure for new cars. Each character starts with 0 prestige. Arena combat always counts for prestige. Road combat may affect prestige. There is a 1/6 chance. Score prestige is below due to them catching on film, etc. An ace is a character who has participated in 5 confirmed kills, that is arena kills or road kills for which scored prestige. A double ace is a character with 10 confirmed kills. Prestige is scored as follows. For entering combat, +1. Each kill of your vehicle scores, +2. Your vehicle killed. If you survive, -1. Vehicle killed. Any injury, -2. Leave your vehicle. Well, it can both move and fire, -1. You exit the arena, and your vehicle can both move and fire, -1. Your attack with hidden weapons outside the vehicle, +1. Kill vehicle occupied by a character with prestige over 15, +1. Kill a vehicle occupied by a character with prestige over 20, +2. Become an ace, +5. Become a double ace, +10. Character may earn up to 3 prestige points per game for excellent play, lucky shots, or survival against bad odds. Advantages of prestige. In any arena combat where cash prizes are offered, a character with prestige of 10 or better earns a percentage bonus equal to its prestige. In addition, a character with prestige of 15 or better gets a 25% discount on all new car purchases and repairs. Prestige of 25 or better earns a 50% discount. Wealth. Each character begins with 0 wealth. Selling cars. Cars may be sold for salvage after it's been used. Most arena contests give a survivor the right to salvage his kills too. Arena prizes. The referee for continuing arena game may set cash prizes. Typical purse would be from 1/2 to 1.5 times the total value of vehicles competing. Road salvage. You can earn money as the cycle gangs do. Pick a fight in the road. Strip your kill for salvage. Dangerous. Transactions with other players. Car sales used but still working equipment. Side bets and whatever else you can think of. Other than car repairs and ammo purchases, the only expense a continuing character has is 50 per week for food and power plant recharges. Vehicle design. You can always use this stock designs. When you come up with a good vehicle design, you can save it for later reference. Add to the stock car list for your local arena. Use a copy of the vehicle planning sheet to set your cars, to design your cars. For instance, for body size and armor, here's the types: price, weight, load, space, and armor. Chassis strength, types here: modifier to pounds carried, price, power plant, price, weight, spaces, DP, power factors, maximum speed. The armor cost is separate. The cost weight figures are for cost for each point of armor in the vehicle. Power plant is a multiple fuel system which supplies power to separate motors in each wheel of the vehicle. And then suspension, shown here. Price, handling class, van, HC. Suspension determines the vehicle's beginning, HC. Light suspension is standard. Then tires. Price, weight, DP. Car's front tires must both be the same type. Its 2 or 4 tires must be the same type. Weapons. Weapons data is given a separate sheet for reference during play. Accessories listed in the same sheet. Then the human element. All humans are assumed to weigh 150 pounds. Human takes up 1 space. However, vehicle and weapons controls also take 1 space. Therefore, 2 spaces must be allotted for each driver gunner. Drivers. Each vehicle may have only 1 driver who sits on either right or left side. The driver may fire any of his vehicle's weapons. He may also use hand weapons. Gunners. A vehicle may have 1 or more gunners. Gunner may fire any of the vehicle's weapons. He may also use hand weapons. The driver and gunner cannot share a targeting computer. Each must have his own. If both are to get a naming bonus. Passengers. A vehicle may carry passengers in either cargo space or regular space. Passenger seat takes 1 space. Passengers can use hand weapons but cannot fire vehicle weapons. A single passenger can ride behind a cyclist driver, takes up to extra space but adds weight, and can use hand weapons only. Cargo. Likely cargo includes spare tires and ammunition. Note that any vehicle may carry cargo if it has unused space, but pickups, vans, and station wagons have a specific area. Computing acceleration. Once you've determined what you go into your vehicle, you must compute acceleration. This will be 5, 10, or 50 miles per hour. If a vehicle's power is less than 1/3 its weight, it is underpowered. If a vehicle's power is 1/3 its weight, but less than 1/2, then its acceleration is 5 miles per hour. If a vehicle's power is 1/2 its weight, but less than its weight, then its acceleration is 10 miles per hour. If a vehicle's power is equal to or greater than its weight, then its acceleration is 15 miles per hour. The vehicle diagram is used to keep track of ammunition expenditure and damage. Also located on the vehicle damage diagram are the speed track and handling track, weapon location restrictions. No more than 1/3 of the total spaces in a car may be devoted to weapons that fire from any one side. Cycle building. Motorcycle is designed in similar fashion. Cycles need 2 tires, sidecars need 1. Then repair and salvage. In a continuing campaign, damaged vehicles will need repair. Damaged armor can be repaired at $50 per hit, or the vehicle's entire armor can be replaced for its original cost, plus 10%. Cost for other repairs. A component that takes only 1 hit can be repaired for 10% its original price, 2 hits 30%, 3 hits 50%, and so on. Salvage. A vehicle or component may be sold for salvage. Salvage value is original cost minus cost to repair. Modifying weapons. New weapons and accessories may be added to an existing vehicle between duels. Then referee. A referee is never necessary, but in multiplayer scenarios, you will want an arbitrary game master. At the end of each turn, if any cars are on fire, he rolls to see whether they explode or stop burning. He moves vehicles that are out of control. So in an arena scenario, he may serve as master of the arena. He can draw the arena map, determine the scenario rules, and set the prizes offered for each competition. Then we'll get to set up and play. Beginning the game. To start the game, pick a scenario, then lay out roads and draw up an arena, or draw up an arena. Select your vehicles, mark record sheet for each car, and pick a counter to represent it. Put the marker counter for each vehicle at its beginning speed, a master movement chart, and put speed and handling markers on each individual vehicle record sheet. Roll for each driver's reflexes. Reflexes of characters other than drivers do not count in this game. Place all vehicles in starting position and go. Laying out the game board. For highway scenarios, place 2 or 3 road sections end to end. When the cars leave one end of the map, pick up a section on the other end and put in front of them so they don't run out of road. For town, parking lot, and arena scenarios, where the vehicles may only move within a certain area, draw the whole layout in graph paper and tape it to the table. Such a layout should show roads, curbs, debris, etc. What's neat about this game, since it's by a grid system, you can obviously scale it up to whatever you want, as long as you maintain the scale of vehicles and grid. So here's the setup. Got a couple tracks set end to end. I decided to go with the first one's clear, but I decided to go with the obstacle side for the second one. And then there's the vehicle planning sheet and the vehicle record sheet. So I'm going to be doing a couple of stock car plans. I'll be doing the Intimidator, which will be the yellow, which is shown here. It's a station wagon. And then I'll do the Vigilante, which is a pickup, and I'll be using a variant of that called the City Cowboy. First of all, I'll roll for the reflex. The skills of driver, gunner, and cyclist. They all start at 0 since it's the first one. Roll for the reflex. First for the Intimidator, 3. And then for the Red Vigilante, they get a 5, which means if they get a 5, they get a bonus. They can increase their effective handling by 1. This is stock, so you don't have to do the vehicle planning sheet, but I thought I'd show it up here for kind of see what's going on. So the vehicle planning sheet is to keep track of the costs and weights and spaces. With all the components shown in the Intimidator, comes out to 17,400. The weight, sum it up, 5,200. So that you take that weight, and with a super power plant, it has a power of 2,600. You divide that by the 5,200, which gives you 1/2. And since it has a ratio of 1/2, it means that has an acceleration of 10. But if they add a little bit of cargo, they'll be on that half. They'll get to an acceleration of 5 instead. But this is just kind of the bookkeeping of how to take care of that. Then the vehicle record sheet then. So as shown for the components, it's a station wagon. And then you sketch in here the different items, which is kind of interesting how you do that. It's got a standard chassis, improved suspension, super power plant. So super power plant is shown here. It's got 12 DP, damage points. Puncture resistant tires, which each have 9 damage points indicated here. It's got a turret, which you have to pay for, and then a laser with 2 damage points. Driver's got 3 damage points. Also can allow 11 cargo, although I won't be carrying any cargo. And then the armor, you mark it around. The front is 25, right is 15, left is 15, back is 25, top is 30, and the Under Armour is 15. There's a 1 laser on the turret. Handling class of 2. So that's straight from the stock car option. And then the Vigilante over here, I did 1 variation of that. It's a pickup with extra heavy chassis, heavy suspension. And again, that's all captured up here in the cost chart. For instance, for the body size of pickup, it costs $900. It's got a weight of 2,100. Chassis strength, it's extra heavy, which means the price is equal to the chassis. Suspension, it's also heavy, but it gives you a better handling class. And then tires, it's got solid tires, and it's also got 6 of them, so it costs more and adds more weight. But they have more damage points of 12. And then similarly for the weapons, you capture those weights, and the weapons information comes from this weapon chart. So for instance, for the recoilless rifle, which they have 2, it's a 7. And then the damage information, and it's 4 DP, price is $1,500, weight is 300, again capturing that here, you got 2 of those. And for the laser you don't need ammunition, but for the weapons you do. It shows the shots and the cost per shot and the weight per shot, and you capture that information. So it's 35 cost per shot for a recoilless rifle and a weight per shot of 5. So you capture all that on here. So I'm doing the option called the City Cowboy, where gives you an initial armor, but it lets you have a total of 275 points, so it's quite beefed up. Distributing them the way I want to, then the top would be 45, front is 45, right is 45, left 45, back 50, Under Armour 45. Neither of them have a gunner. It's got a smoke screen in back, and also you have to pay for the ammunition for that. It doesn't have any, you can't haul any cargo because it's right at its limit. Normally it would have cargo spaces. Acceleration of 5 miles per hour. And so the acceleration here is with a super power plant, it's 2,600, and here the weight is either 7,650 or 7,800, depending on if you have a gun or not, and I don't. But the ratio of that is it's between a third and a half. So since it's less than a half, its acceleration is 5. So it's set up down here. And then since we have that +1 handling class, I'll make a note of that. It's got a 4 handling class. So I'm doing this scenario road duel. Slight variation of that. 2-player road combat. Each has 1 car. Each player gets a fixed budget, 10,000, 1,500. I went a little bit above that, but it's okay. And then they each picked one from the stock car list. Then they roll to see which car starts in front. Here's for yellow. Here's which is the vigilante. I'll just call him yellow. And then red is for the intimidator. So yellow goes first. And then you roll to see how far in front he is. Roll 2 dice. So he's 5 inches in front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the starting positions. And the winner is the survivor. And I decided for the markers over here, they have speed and handling ones. I'm just going to use the extra pink markers I have here just because they work better visually. And they both start at 60 miles per hour, which indicate. And then the handling, the yellow starts at handling of 2. And then the red had 3 plus 1 handling, so they're starting at 4. So here we are a few turns in. So speeds are, red is going 60 and yellow is going 40. And there's been some damage so far. Since yellow has been in front of red, it's been shooting back at the front of red, and red's taken 7 damage on their front armor. And red has shot up with red has taken a couple of shots with its recoil rifles and used the ammunition for that and done some damage to the rear armor. Got it down to 18. So we start out where their handling is. Handling track's at 4 right now. They're not just starting the turn. Set up on the movement chart here. Then I'll do the first movement, which is red is going 60, so you move up here, makes a move. He's just going to go straight. Move the track again. Now both yellow and red move. Red's going to do a drift, which is a D1 maneuver, to kind of move in here. And because of that, it's a D1, so he reduces his handling class down to 3. D1 means you reduce it by 1. And yellow also moves on the turn. They're also going to do a drift to kind of get away here. They do a D1. That reduces their handling track down to 1. They don't have to do a roll yet because they're still positive. Then we'll look at combat. So red's going to fire. They're going to fire their recoilless rifle on the turret at the left side of yellow. Recoilless rifle needs a 7 to hit. They do hit. And then damage is 2. So you roll 2 dice. 4 points of damage on the left armor of yellow. They reduce their shots they can take now because I used 1 ammunition. And the character can only fire once per turn, unless it's linked, but it's not. So that's his firing. Yellow's going to fire as well. They're going to do their laser turret, and laser turret here is a 6 hit. They hit. For damage, it's 3 die roll. 7, 9. And they're firing at the armor, so they're firing at the, look at the front armor of it. 9, knock it down. That's all the firing they can do that turn. And then they'll keep moving. Again, they can both move now. He's going to keep going straight. Move sequence again. He's going to move up, but he's going to do a drift, which is a DC1. So reduces his handling track. He's still positive though, he's going to move down to 2. Next movement. Both go again. And that's the last movement for yellow. But red can move again, and they're gonna do another drift. To go right next here. And that'll reduce his handling track to 0 to 1, but he's still positive, so he doesn't need to make a roll on the chart yet. They're going to go to the next turn. Then we'll figure out what speed they're going to go at. They can decelerate or accelerate. Yellow's going to speed up. They want to kind of get out of there. So they're going to move up to 55. And this is done secretly, of course. You don't know what's going on. And actually, red's going to slow down a little bit to kind of catch the back of yellow, I think. So they'll reduce down to 50. Again, not knowing what yellow's doing. Then we reset the handling track to their initial state. So 4, 2. So we go up here, and yellow's going 50. Red is going 55. To the first movement. They both go. So red's actually going to back away a little bit. They're going to do a steep drift, which is a D3. So he marks his handling down to 1. Then yellow's just going to go straight. Then we do the next movement. Only red goes. Before he moves though, he's gonna fire. And he's gonna be doing his recoilless rifle. And there's a line of sight there, so he needs a 7. He hits. Roll 2 dice. 8. So he's going to do 8 on the left armor of yellow. So he's got him down to 3 there. And then he moves. Next movement. Just yellow goes. They're going to do a swerve. DC1, so he'll knock down a 1 there. And he's going to fire. He's going to do his turret laser. And there's a line of sight there. It's 3. He needs a 6 or better. He misses. The next movement. Doesn't move, but red moves. And now he's going to go up and try to cut him off. Actually, he's going to do a steep drift because he's going to try to cut him off. And that's a D3 move. So now that marks him down to -2. And then we look at the control table. Roll the -2, 2. He's going 55. So if you roll the number shown or higher, you keep control, so he's okay. You got 2 or higher. So he's alright. The next move. Only yellow moves. Next. Red. Then yellow. And yellow's going to do a swerve, which is a D1 move. But that gets him down to 0, so he's still okay. Now he changes his orientation a little bit. Then red. Keep going straight. Yellow. It's going to do another swerve again. It's time to get back straightened out. And that puts him down to a -1, so he has to roll on the control table. And he's going 50, so he's automatically okay, so after all. And then lastly, red can do a move and a half. So finally red moves, and it's the next track they're coming up on has an obstacle right here, and since he has to do a half move also, and a half move puts him up half inch, he'd be hitting that obstacle. So he needs to do some maneuver to avoid that. So he'll do a drift first before he does his half move. So that'll just get him just to the side of that obstacle. But because of that, that gets his handling track down at -3. So now he has to go on the -3 control column. And his speed is at 55. So the control column of -3 at 55, he needs, if he gets a 1 or 2, he's going to have a problem. And he gets a 2. So it goes across table 1 for maneuvers, and 2 would be for hazards, but he's doing a maneuver, which is shown here. So you roll 1 die, add or subtract the modifier for your speed, give him the control table, shown here. If you get a -1, 0, or 1, it's a trivial skid. It's the same orientation, but it moves 1/4 inch. Same direction. 2 is minor skid, but skid's 1/2 inch. Moderate, skid's 3/4. Severe skid, 1 inch, and it takes 2 points damage. 5, cartridge sideways and rolls. Decelerates, etc. 6-9, but the vehicle is burning. So we'll see what happens here. So his speed is 55. So his modifier is 1. 5. So that's not good. So he gets a 6. And his car turns sideways. He's already at 20 miles per hour per turn, so he'll drop down to 35 next time. Each phase it moves, it goes 1 inch in the direction it's traveling and rolls 1/4 of a complete roll. Takes 1 die of damage on the side rolled onto each phase. So he rolls, it's rolling on his left side, take a die of damage, 6. So on his left side, he lost 6 points. And then also the vehicle's burning. So if the vehicle has a fire extinguisher, it may put it out, but since he doesn't, fire extinguishers don't put the fire out at the end of the turn. Does 1 hit of damage to each occupant, each vehicle component, and armor on each part of the car, so it's a big deal. So the occupant takes a hit, all the armor. So the vehicle takes a hit, rifle takes a hit, power supply, smoke screens, rifle. So hopefully that gives you a little sense of the play. So that's Car Wars from Steve Jackson Games from 1983. Obviously it's got a lot going for it. I guess that was right when video games are starting to get more intense too, so I suppose a lot of people might have migrated for something like this to actual, computer simulations of the race, but I still think there's a lot of value in the whole planning and plotting it out. And it kind of gives you more of a sense of this. It's quite a bit different than a video game, obviously, because you need to think through like each second of what you're doing rather than just kind of intuitively doing things. So people might like that. Definitely unique for its time. I like the package. Oh, well, it's packaged. Components are kind of thin, but it's a mini game and they have to be that size to fit in the box. But you can easily scale this since it's on a grid. You can make the grid size anything you want, and then have 3D cards to go on the grid. And I'm sure a lot of people have done that. Quite enjoyable. Definitely recommend it. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Thanks for your time.